Imagine a life where you no longer have to work. You can sleep in or wake up at any time. You can hang out with your friends or spend time with your kids on any given day. You can even travel the world going from one country to another and live there as long as you want. Eat all sorts of delicious food or have every meal delivered directly to your house. You can even enjoy every second of your life to the fullest and you wouldn't ever run out of money to live this way for the rest of your life. I'm here to tell you that this is financial freedom and this is the life that you deserve to live, and anyone, including you, can make it a reality by doing just these 4 things. First point, don't trade stocks, but rather invest in them. I first got into stocks during the COVID letdown. At the time, the government was printing so much money, giving everyone stimulus checks and employment money to everybody. So being stuck at home, I thought, what better way to spend this money than to put it in the stock market? In the beginning, I thought investing was too slow and that trading was a lot faster and more profitable. Within the first year, I managed to learn how to trade and I managed to triple my portfolio, going from $35,000 all the way to $110,000 just by trading. At the time, I remember thinking, oh, this is so easy. I wish I had started trading stocks sooner. But soon, the Fed stopped printing so much money and they also started hiking the interest rates. And all my overpriced stocks started to fall. Being naive, I thought these are just dips, like I've seen all the time when I was trading, so I kept averaging down and buying even more. In the end though, I ended up losing it all because it turns out most of the stocks I was trying to swing trade up ended up staying down. I found out I was only lucky when I started trading because at the time, the whole Federal Reserve was printing a bunch of money and the interest rates were at zero. I lost $90,000 and went all the way back down to $20,000. And what was worse is that during the first year, I had already paid taxes on my realized capital gains of $16,000. So it felt like I was actually down $100,000. You can imagine how devastating I must have felt. This is why I really want to tell you that 98% of people should not be trading stocks. Statistically and literally, it is easier to make money from investing in stocks rather than trading in them. Here are some quick disadvantages of trading that I can name off. There are wash sales, short-term capital gains tax, trading commission fees, pattern day trading rules, execution speeds, high frequency trading, and sale of order flow information. If you don't know everything here, you don't understand how unfair the system is towards you. In this new age, we have high-tech computers that can trade way faster than any human being could. There are gigantic multi-billion-dollar to even trillion-dollar hedge funds with countless amount of money spent on these computers trading actively in the market every day. Picture yourself like a tiny ant going against a whole pack of huge hyenas. They are bigger than you, they're definitely stronger than you, they're faster than you, and they have more money than you. So when you're trading in the stock market and you make a winning trade, there are chances that they also can make winning trades, but they have better profits than you because they have faster execution times. Now on the flip side, the same also applies. If you make a losing trade, then they can also make some losing trades as well. But since they have better execution times than you, then they'll make less of a loss than you did because you have slower execution times. So unless you're really up for the battle against these multi-billion-dollar trading firms, you're way better off just investing. If only I had never traded stocks in the first place and I went straight to investing, I would have more money today. Also, I didn't have to go through all the painful sacrifices and the time I spent on trading because trading is like a full-time job. You can't just let something automatically trade for you, whereas investing is completely passive. So please hear me out when I say this because I speak from my own experiences. It's way better to just invest and don't trade. Over the long run, it's not worth trading. The odds are not in your favor, and just stick with investing. It is not worth risking your own future on and maybe your own kids' future too. Moving on to the second thing, start investing as early as you can no matter what. The earlier you start investing, the more time you have for your money to compound. Not only that, is you get to retire with even more money or you get to retire sooner. What most people don't understand is how much money they actually do miss out on because they didn't start investing early. A common mistake is putting off investing because you don't think you have enough money to start investing. Like you only want to start investing when you have a decent amount and then that's when you consider investing. But this is actually the completely wrong way to go about it because as you know, like me, I started day trading hoping I get enough of a snowball going, and then I was going to switch over to investing. However, as I was trading, I didn't know when to stop, and I thought I could keep going because I was already doing such a good job at trading. But obviously, you know how that turned out. After I made that big financial loss from the stock market, I actually was traumatized in a way where I didn't even want to look at the stock market for a whole entire year. Now, later on, I finally came back to the stock market and I sold my investments that were way under. But I'm glad I did that because I finally got over my own fault. Like I kept held it like a grudge against the stock market, then the chances are I would have lost the rest of that money and I would have gone down to zero. Now, again, I'm super thankful that I got over it before it was too late. Even if you look at my latest investing year, where I basically switched from trading to just pure investing and just throwing money constantly by dollar cost averaging it into the stock market, I made these profits way easier than I did when I was trading. And this was way more passive. I didn't even have to look at my stocks. It just automatically bought it in the stock market. And all I saw was my portfolio steadily going up over time. Now, the total amount that you can make by investing depends on three main factors. Okay, so there's how much you can invest, and this is just incrementally how much money can you afford to put in the stock market every month or year. And it's what kind of returns are you getting? Are you getting a 5% return, a 9% return, or even a 20% return? And the last one is how long can you invest? And that's the one that we cannot change. Time is one of the variables in this equation where the sooner you start, the better it is for you. So I hope you please hear me out when I say this, but trust me, please start investing as soon as you can today, even if you haven't. Your future self, 5 years, 10 years from now, will thank you for doing that. When I look back, when I started investing, I wish I only had started sooner. If you think it's too late, it's never too late to start investing. Even my mom at the age of 63 has already started investing and using me as a guide. Which now brings us to our third point. Stop following the norm. The social norm nowadays is to pretend that you're okay and to flex your life on social media, when in reality, you're probably broke and miserable inside and really stressed out about work. Do you really want to be that? A lot of people feign what they are on Instagram or feign what they do on Facebook. But in reality, we're all individually trying to fight and get our own financial freedom. Now, I apologize if I feel a little bit more emotional when I talk about this, but this is advice that I deeply resonate with, and I hope that you guys will take away in this video. If I could actually go back in time, I would actually have never gone to college. Out of high school, I would have chose to go straight to the workforce and gain my experiences there. Why? Because I figured out that for me, the social norm was not the way to go. I couldn't follow the crowd and wherever they went. I always ask myself this question, why? And I hope you guys also, basically in your life, sometimes just take a step back and just think, why am I doing this? Why should I do this? Why do other people do this? So the questions that I had during school was, why do people go into debt to get a degree which doesn't even guarantee their job to pay off their debt? Doesn't it? Am I the only one that thinks that's a little bit off? Like, I understand the whole goal is to get a degree so that you can pay off your debt off and then work to make more. But the thing is, it's not really guaranteed. And if you understand how the workforce kind of works, it's based on supply and demand. If there's too much supply of one thing, so let's say everyone 1 year graduates from school and like 60% of the population wants to be doctors. Now, there's going to be 60% of that generation as doctors for a 40% generation that doesn't really need the supply of doctors. So what happens? The doctors, not all of them have jobs. Because there's supply and demand in the market, you can't just expect the degree to guarantee you a job. And that was one of the biggest things that I thought and I had a problem with when I was growing up through school. Obviously, being Asian, I was expected to perform super well and graduate with a degree so that I can secure my financial future. However, when I went through college, I was kind of just floating around, going with the norm and just filling some random units. At the end, I finally decided to take 1 semester off of college just to get myself together and see if I can work instead of go to college. What turns out is I love actually going to work, and I basically didn't go back to college since I did that, and I worked my way for 6 years up. Today, I'm actually now at a restaurant manager position making upwards of $70K per year. The funny thing is, back when I was going to college, I was trying to become a programmer, and the average salary for a programmer at that time was also around $70K a year. When I took classes of programming, I actually was surprised that it was a lot more linguistic than I thought it would be. I'm more of an art person, so I prefer more visual kind of learning and visual kind of actions. However, just reading code and just looking for bugs wasn't it for me, and I was basically kind of having a crisis thinking maybe this isn't actually what I really want to do. But now that I'm a restaurant manager, I actually enjoy working every single day in the restaurant, serving customers, making them happy. I also get to communicate and work with my team members, which are also a very great family to me. And not only that, every single day I have to go to work, I get up and I come early because I actually enjoy what I do. Whereas with programming, I feel like that's something that I would have never have done because I might have woke up in a grumpy mood all the time, and I just can't stand to think myself like that. So going back to some of the questions, I always ask, like, why are the richest people not from the top schools? Why does the government actually tax half the salary of doctors? And why is inflation and cost of living so high now? I would think, why are all the smart graduates who graduated with a college degree which their parents didn't have are still struggling to find a job when their parents could find jobs so much easier? I hope you see what I'm getting at. If you ask yourself in life, why is this the social norm? You will see yourself there's a lot of conflict with it. A lot of people in life don't actually know where they're going either. So why are you following someone who doesn't know where they're going? You should also follow what you desire and what you think is right. Again, pay attention to like the signs on the road. If everybody jumped off a bridge, would you follow them? We go to school to become workers for most of our lives. School is also funded by our tax dollars, but when we go to work, we are taxed based on earned income. Our educational system, which is funded by our tax dollars, teaches our kids to grow up, get a job, and work literally most of their lives from 25 to the age of 65 and hopefully retire. But what's funny with that is that the Social Security is expected to run out at 2035. But in this day and age, we are currently still paying Social Security tax. So it's ironic that we're paying money towards Social Security that we won't ourselves get in the future. The government might not be the best person to trust with your retirement. And I hope you understand what I'm getting. Do not let your future on your last phase of life end up in this way. You might be unhappy and miserable. I don't want you to go through whole entire life and just at the end you realize that you don't even have enough money to live on retirement. This is why investing is so critical and key. Moving on to our last point, number 4, and that one is to shift your mindset. This one is probably one of the hardest ones to do, but it yields the greatest results. And what I mean by this, and you probably heard it before, is do not always think and keep your mind on the bad things, but try to focus on the good things. Like sometimes when I want to complain about my job and my lifestyle, I am reminded about how my parents lived through their time. Both my parents are from Vietnam and they grew up in Vietnam through the Vietnam War. My dad was also a veteran that fought for the South at the loss of the war, was in prison for 11 years. I can't fathom to picture myself living 11 years in prison. Did you know that USA has the highest GDP per capita and also the highest startups of any other country in the world? It basically means that America has the highest opportunity for success out there than any other country in the world. When I first heard this, I was too naive and I didn't really understand it. But as I started working and I started moving up in the workforce, I started to realize that the values and skills that I gain while I'm working can translate to another job. So if that job doesn't work out, I can still move my skills and my resume to another company and earn potentially even more. Looking back, remember, I didn't finish college. I went straight into the workforce with no experience, no confidence, almost nothing. And now 6 years out, I am now a full-on general restaurant manager, making upwards of $70K a year, which remember, ideally I did that in 6 years. Had I taken college, I would have done maybe another 2 more years, unpaid. And at the end, there's still uncertainty that I might not even like my job. Looking back at my original path, the one that I was going to take and the one that I did take, I honestly couldn't have asked for a better outcome. And this was all due to ways that I sought to improve myself, and I shifted my mindset to not always focus on the bad things and realize that these small mistakes that I make can also be learning experiences and skills that I can get for my own personal sake. Had I never changed that kind of mindset, then I'd probably be still in the same spot I was 6 years ago, making near minimum wage and not being anywhere close to investing where I am today. Now this wraps it up for my video. Now again, if this video has helped you, please do me a favor and subscribe to the video. It helps YouTube pass this information on to those who might need it just like you. I also finally felt like I had to start this video channel so that I can help other people and outreach to them because they may be struggling where I was 6 years ago. Now, I hope you guys stay tuned to my next video because I will be going more in depth about how I plan to invest for the next 10 years so that I can actually be financially free. And that comes with all the expensive costs. I'm actually getting married this year in the fall, and we expect to have kids in a couple of years as well. So again, stay tuned to that video where I'll show you basically the breakdown of my investment strategy for the next 10 years and how I plan to retire in my 40s as a millionaire already. Thank you guys for watching. This is it for my video. I hope you guys stay tuned to the next one, and I hope you guys have a great one. I wish you guys farewell.